Hey, today we're gonna be moving hundreds of baby guppies into their new home because the tank is finally set up. These guppy fish down here have been in this 10-gallon for a while, and I think it's time to get an upgrade. As you can see, there's tons of plants, tons of fish, and now they need to move into these angelfish aquariums. Now, this tank has been set up in one of my last videos where we just redid it and made it look stunning, as you can see, and we have these baby plecos right over here as well that will also be moving into a new box. Now you might be wondering, will those angelfish eat them? Maybe some of them, the smaller ones or any snacks, but these angelfish have relatively long fins and they're quite slow as a result of these long fins they have, and I don't think they'll be able to catch too many of them. And it'll create like a natural ecosystem in the tank where we don't have too many guppies producing, where it just becomes out of hand, and it just is a nutritional source of food for the angelfish and catfish in the tank. It'll also help provide ditherfish that will provide a distraction for these angelfish, because when they're breeding, they get really mean to each other. You guys can see there's catfish back there and the breeding tubes, and it'll be kind of like this tank, which is a little cloudy at the moment, where we have shrimp and we have baby guppies and we have plecos as well, all living harmoniously in one tank, except this is going to be adding a predator element to help keep the population in control a bit. But when I had these angelfish with those guppies before, they didn't really catch much. So what do we have to do to get that started? We need to get into the guppy tank and start removing some of the plants so that it's easy to catch them and we can just scoop them and put them in the other tank. So I'm pulling out the plants now. We're probably gonna use some of these plants in that tank over there, and then we'll take some of this guppy grass to provide some cover for the guppies to hide in so they don't, get picked off, and just provide some safety. Alright, I got a lot of plants out. The tank's cloudy, so we're gonna let it clear up so we can catch the guppies. As you guys can see, here's the tank. Tons of cloudiness, but you can see the guppies swimming around. Here are all the plants. I didn't expect this many plants to come out of this little 10-gallon, but this is a nice bunch of some bigger Vallisneria, some little ones, and then this is, I think, dwarf sage, and then the guppy grass over here. We're gonna let the tank clear up, put these in water, and then we'll be able to catch all the guppies. See you in a second. So the plan for these tanks at the bottom is to actually empty all these tanks, because I want to put another 40-gallon here to get a special guest that I have been waiting months to get, even years. I just haven't kept one in a long time, but that's going to be in another video, so make sure you subscribe and like down below if you want to see what special creature and what tank we're setting up. But the first step is, of course, to clear all these tanks. This one's empty. That one still has the eel in it that's getting used to, the tank and everything, and he's eventually going to go in there when we figure that tank out. That tank is empty, so this was like the last tank we needed. And then I'll make one of these a quarantine tank, but for right now, it's just to get all these empty, drain them, have the fish room all set up to the way we want, and that way, we can just do so many more great things. Now we're gonna put the baby plecos into the bigger net box so that I don't have to hear the bubbling, and they have a bigger space to grow up in while they're getting more water flow in the tank. The net box I'm talking about is this one right here. So I just have to put this second suction cup on it. And we're gonna stick this inside the tank, and then we're just gonna pour this into here, and there's some junk in there, but I'll try to remove that if I can and just get the fish in here. So I'm gonna try to do this with one hand, get the net box in. I'm gonna try to put it by the filter over here so that water flow is going through this tank quite a bit. The net box looks good. Now all the babies are in here, so I can scoop up some of this junk so that their net box is as clean as can be. The extra uneaten food out. We're gonna take this and pour them all out like this. Oh, I thought they were escaping. Oh, that scared me so bad. Oh, there's one more. Oh, little guy. It was much easier than I thought it was gonna be, and it's a much bigger enclosure. We got the flow from the water coming through the side, which is perfect. It's helped keep it nice and clean. But now you can see them much better. You see the bigger ones, and then you see the little babies. And it's interesting with these gold guys, their long fins haven't really grown in yet, but now you can see on this larger one how his fins are getting pretty long. But it takes a while for their long fins to grow in compared to the orange ones I have over here, where you can see all the little long fins on even the smallest of babies. But alright, now they're all comfortable in there, and now it's time to catch out the guppies from over there. Now this tank has tons of snails in it, which is also another reason why I want to empty this, because I really don't like these snails. And now we can just empty this tank once we get all the fish out. But you can see all of them swimming close to the glass. So I'm gonna remove this sponge and then just start scooping them out into this container. I already caught some of them. Alright, I think I got most of them, and some of the babies, like the really tiny baby fish we have in here, I'm gonna put them in the net with the plecos just to make sure they don't get eaten and we can raise them as well. And yeah, I think we got most of them. It's hard to tell, there's some really tiny fish, but I'll just let the tank settle down and catch any remainders over the next few days. But let's go ahead and get these guys into their new home. The temperature is about the same, so I don't have to worry about that. Something I was a bit worried about is that you see the angelfish, he's trying to peck at the babies through the net, but it doesn't seem like his mouth is big enough to actually pinch the net or anything. And I've had fish do that in the past, but they were much bigger and had stronger mouths. And the angelfish doesn't seem to be able to do much and just kind of scares them more than anything. But for these guys, what I'm going to do is try to scoop out a bunch of baby fish and just put them into the net box as well, while we leave all the adults in the tank to do their thing. Any ones that would be like quick food, don't want all the fish to get eaten. This here, little plant cover in the box is nice. Help the babies feel safer. Don't actually think I got a lot of babies in that scoop. I don't want them to outcompete the plecos for food. There they go. See, look how tiny all the other babies, you can barely see them. But the catfish would just eat them at night until the fish learn where to sleep, which would be like in plant cover that I'm gonna put in the tank. See, he's trying to get the babies. You guys can see a bunch of babies in there, much more room now. I might try to get, oh, there's a bunch of babies, so we're just gonna try to scoop them up, not the big one. There we go. See, we raise all these little guys, keep the population numbers up until they get used to being in the tank and can find shelter. And like, see, something like that will just, that'll slowly unravel, and then the guppies. But here they all are. Seeing them from the top is very interesting to look at. Now it is time to pour all these guys into their new tank right over here. We're just gonna pour them in and let all of them do their thing. Okay, the angelfish, definitely gonna try to eat them. And you know, they have a couple, just a little extra protein. Letting all the guppies do their thing. Look at them all go. I like how they're staying together, and I think with the angelfish in the tank, they'll definitely school a bit more until they feel safer. These guppies were super skittish in the 10-gallon, and I think it was because there was so much cover, they didn't have to come out a lot. Oh look, oh, he ate one! Okay, that's definitely why I saved some of the net, because I wasn't sure how much they could catch, and I definitely don't think they'll be able to eat the adults. And just because I added them in the tank, they're definitely going to be eating some of them. But I think it just creates a really natural, I might have misjudged how big the angelfish mouth were and the guppies size was. But their angelfish are quite slow, it's just that the fish are really new to the tank. So the angelfish are definitely like trying to get their meals. The angelfish are definitely eating these guppies a lot more than I thought they would. And you'd probably be like, duh, Noah, like what'd you expect? It also is just a natural food source and a very healthy one, because I've raised these guppies up myself, so I know they're parasite free and just disease free rather than feeders from a store. So I'm not mad either, like if they're eating some of them, because that's just part of nature. I just think they're super like engaged now with trying to find them, because there's something new to the tank, and I don't blame the angelfish. It's like they're just excited, something's different in the tank, so they're just like exploring it and hunting it. And I've seen the guppies already get away from the angelfish, because the angelfish, like I said, they're big and bulky, and the only way they catch one is like if one of the guppies is stunned or just not moving. See, like look right here, that guppy got away, and the angelfish give up most of the time. So it really takes a lot of energy for the angelfish to try to get them. If we look in the back, a lot of them are hiding there, and I think these guppies work well because they're a darker color, so they'll blend into the background more and make it harder for the angelfish to find them. And like once these plants start unraveling and stuff, the guppies will have plenty of hiding spaces, and I don't think it'll be a problem. The only thing I think will be a problem is at night, these catfish will come out when the guppies may be sleeping on the floor, but we will have to see. See, like there's a guppy hiding right there. It's just a new tank, so I think they'll be just fine. There's plenty of hiding places now, and if they stay in a group, they're gonna do fine. And the females are much bigger than the males, so I don't think it'll be a problem. I don't think the females can even fit in the angelfish. See, look at him, look at him. He's trying, but he's so slow because of all the finnage he has. Like, his fins are just really long. And then the baby guppies, the really tiny one, glad I put them in here because they would have been they can't swim as fast. But we'll raise these guys up, and then eventually we can let them out, everybody out into the tank. See, look, the angelfish are curious, because they're like, I know your food. What we will also do is put some food in the tank so that the angelfish are mostly full and lethargic, and then they will be less interested in hunting the guppies, and that way the guppies can get established. So let's get these flakes and pour them into the tank. I'll just put a couple flakes in there, but we're gonna put some flakes. And if the guppies want to eat it, sure, but it's mostly for the angelfish and catfish, just so that they have something to eat and aren't chasing the guppies like crazy. I've had a tank where the guppies and the angelfish were completely fine together, and the faster angelfish were able to catch the guppies, but these weren't them, and I have those in a different tank now. I think once they settle in, they'll definitely be okay. And like I said, a couple protein snacks for the angelfish isn't a harmful thing, because these are healthy feeder fish for them. And in nature, that's what they would be eating anyways. What would make this tank like super natural is also having shrimp survive. Now I would need a lot more hiding places for the shrimp. And ghost shrimp, I think, would be able to survive because a lot of fish can't actually see them well. And I might be able to get away with like a handful of ghost shrimp, handful of guppies, and then like having a predator that would just create this ecosystem in the tank. And I've seen other channels do it, like I think Dr. Plant. I just watched like a bunch of his videos, and he just makes these little ecosystems where there's enough predators and prey that it survives and like, you know, creates this natural balance in the tank. And I just think did it with like bugs, scorpions, and like a lizard or something, and other little things, and it just was super cool because you have like crabs, shrimp, and then you have lizards eating some of the baby crabs so that it controls the population. And it's just like this symbiotic like ecosystem in a tiny space, and it just makes it easier to take care of. Because a lot of times when you have guppies, you just end up getting way too many, and then you end up having to feed them to other tanks. But if you have it all in one tank, it just creates this beautiful space. Like, look at this tank. It just looks stunning, and I don't think I'm gonna put these plants in there because I just love how the tank looks already. And already putting these clumps for the guppies I don't care for, but once they get open and maybe float on the top, I think it'll look better. But it just looks amazing. All right, guys, I'll check in back tomorrow to show you how many guppies survived and how the tank's doing. All right, it's the next day, and I want to show you the guppies. They're doing quite well. So if we take a look down here, you guys can see all of the guppies hiding back there, staying in a tight schooling group, which is kind of cool behavior to watch them do, because they're all just like hiding from the angelfish. And I think as time goes on, the angelfish aren't really hunting them anymore, and they're less concerned with the guppies and more concerned about breeding with each other. So I think they're doing pretty well. The only issue I'm having is that in this box, one of the catfish keeps somehow getting in there, which is why the water level is much lower now. That way he can't get in, hopefully, because before he was getting in over the edge, and I'm really concerned that at night he's gonna get in and eat some of the babies in here. Now over here, I did miss quite a few guppies that have been hiding in the back, and quite a few big ones, so I'll catch them out over time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe down below. Also watch this video where I do something really cool with my African cichlid tank, so you don't want to miss it. When you're doing great, you're doing awesome, keep it up.